Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, thanks for staying, because today we will be talking about teaching in South Korea. Whoa, order in the courts, order, not that bad. Right, so in this video, I want to cover a lot of things, give you general information about teaching in South Korea, how to go about teaching in Korea, like some of the requirements that are needed. And we're also going to talk about public schools versus private schools or hagwons, and what to do when you get to the classroom, especially if you look like me. So, what do you need to teach in South Korea? There are certain requirements that need to be met. Firstly, you have to be from one of the 7 English-speaking countries: USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, the UK, South Africa.
In the beginning. Yeah.
So, and if you don't know already, I was born in Congo, raised in South Africa, currently in Canada. I have a Canadian passport, so I'm Canadian and a bit of South African, so I qualify with both. Awesome. What are the next steps? There are a few documents that you need. Usually it's a completed visa application form, passport photos, a health check, criminal background check, your diploma or degree, and sometimes you may need a TEFL certificate. And then with that, you send those documents, usually through a recruiter or through your Epik coordinator. You send those documents to Korea to be processed in Korean immigration. That usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they will give you a visa issuance number, or a VIN for short. They will send you that VIN, then you take the VIN with additional documents, usually application form, another passport photo, and it depends on the consulate. But you take those documents to your Korean consulate in your home country, and that usually takes about a week and a half of processing, and then Bob's your uncle, you have your E2 teaching visa. You're ready to go to South Korea. But before all of that, you have to decide whether you are going to go the public school route or the private school route in order to start that whole process we just went through. So, with the public school route, you have government funded initiatives like Epik or JEPIK. Epik is the most common one. And with Epik, you know, everything is done to the book because it's, again, government funded. And this is usually a good choice if you're looking for reliability, safety. You'll always be paid on time. You have coordinators that are helping you through the whole process. Epik is safety and stability. Okay, that's good. Now, private schools or hagwons, they can be a hit, huge hit, or huge miss. It's really one or the other. There are certain pros and cons, and we'll go through each. Okay. So what are the pros and cons? With a program like Epik, with a public school program, again, you have safety, reliability. You'll have a good orientation with other Epik teachers, and you'll always get paid on time. You'll always know what you're supposed to be doing at any given time. There's always support and help around you. I hear the vacation time is amazing. So you get all your holidays and red days off. So if you don't know what a red day is, it's basically a holiday, public holiday in South Korea. So you get all your red days off, and you get, I don't know, I've heard of Epik teachers getting up to 5 weeks vacation, give or take. But with Epik, always reliable, you know, always safe. Now, some of the cons, I would say you're not able to choose your location. That was my biggest gripe with Epik, because I naturally wanted to go the Epik/safe route, but because I couldn't choose what location I would be in, I was like, yikes, because I'm a soul girl in a soul world. Okay. Epik, you can't really choose your location. You kind of apply and they place you anywhere in South Korea, and I mean anywhere. It could be the countryside, rural area, or it could be in a big city like Seoul, Daejeon, Busan, etc. I heard that you don't have as much freedom in the classes. You're usually with a Korean co-teacher, which could be good or bad. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but if the co-teacher is a micromanaging type or won't give you as much freedom, then that could cause issues down the line. Another con of Epik I've heard is the pay. Generally the pay for these programs kind of stay the same over time. I could be wrong, please correct me if I am. Another con as well could be that you're the only teacher in the school, the only foreign teacher that is placed in that specific school. So that could be a little, I don't know, it could be isolating to some, but that's something to consider. Sometimes you do want to be placed in an area where there are a lot of foreign teachers so you don't feel completely alone. So those are some of the cons I think for the Epik program. Now let's move on to hagwons or private schools. Oh my gosh. Pros of hagwons, I would say, is location. That's why I went the hagwon route. It is not for everyone. You'll know why. But I loved the freedom of choice. You could choose where you want to work. And like I said, I went to Seoul, South Korea for the first time in 2022 and I fell in love. And I said, I need to be living here. This will be my base. Yeah, you could be very specific about your location because hagwons are everywhere. Okay, private schools are everywhere in Korea. So it isn't difficult to find a hagwon. So that's one big pro. Another pro is if you are an experienced teacher, you can definitely negotiate a higher salary if you go to a hagwon. If you're an experienced teacher or you have experience teaching in Korea already, you can definitely negotiate your salary. That is another pro. You have flexibility with what you can do in the classroom. So with hagwons, I found that I didn't have a Korean co-teacher, or if I did, she'd usually chill for 5 minutes. She'd chill in the classroom for 5 minutes and then leave. So I like that. I enjoy having the class to myself. I feel like I don't know, it's more comfortable to have control over your own class and your lesson. So that's a pro for me. If you get a good hagwon, flexibility with holidays, your schedule, again, if you get a good hagwon, disclaimer, if you get a good hagwon, flexibility with time, your schedule. So if you're teaching, for example, high schoolers or middle schoolers, most likely your hagwon hours would be, like in the afternoon till evening time, so like a 1 to 9 or like a 12 to 8. But if you're teaching a kindergarten, it will most likely be morning time, so 9 to 6, 8 to 6, which is what I did first initially. When I first came, I taught at a kindergarten hagwon at a private school from 9:30 to 6, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the kids. I loved the manager / CEO. My only gripe with that kindergarten was that we had to eat with the kids during lunchtime, and that was difficult for me because I had to get a lot of things done during the week, and that 1 hour that we had was crucial. Like I needed to go to the bank or do something at immigration. Like that was the only time I had, so it was very difficult, and I pretty much had to beg the manager to be like, hey, you have an appointment, can I please go? So that was my only issue with that hagwon. My second hagwon was a freaking mess, and we'll get to that when we get to the cons. I just think if you get a good hagwon job, oh my gosh, yes, for sure, definitely yes. Now the cons. This is where you get to those scary story times on YouTube or on Reddit. This is the notorious section of teaching in Korea, the hagwon cons. So if you get a bad hagwon, this is what you will expect at a bad hagwon. Number 1, not getting paid or not getting paid on time. I want my money now.
Give me your fucking money!
Okay, that is so unacceptable. Immediately no. While it's rare, it definitely happens, and it has happened to me. Next con, Since it's not funded or overlooked by the government, they are able to be sneaky, shady, cut corners in certain things. With the public school, with Epik, there are coordinators that help you get a phone, get your ARC, your residency card, set up your bank account, make sure you pay your health insurance, or they take care of it. But with hagwons, if you get a bad hagwon, you're on your own, pretty much. You're on your own. If you want to set up a bank account, or find another teacher or do it yourself. I had an instance where my health insurance wasn't paid, and I didn't know. I was completely new to the country. I had no idea, and then I got this big bill at the end of the year, and I was like, why didn't my school tell me or let me know? It would be one thing if I was in the country for a while and I should have known better, but I genuinely did not know. I thought the school would take care of it, or kind of at least walk me through what I needed to do. A mess. So with hagwons, there is potential for that. Another con is just general, like in general, if you get a bad manager, unfortunately, if you get a bad manager, your life may be a living hell. That's why some teachers honestly pull midnight runs, because most likely their manager is cutting corners, is most likely discriminative in some way, maybe racially or other ways. They might think that you are not really adjusting well to Korean work culture, so they might, treat you badly because of that, or give you the cold shoulder because of that. Like just maybe just a cultural clash. Many reasons, but sometimes a bad manager could make or break a teacher, and I've experienced that too. I need a separate video for my hagwon horror story, because it was it was so bad. Honestly, I was super careful with choosing my new hagwon, because at the beginning of 2024, worst hagwon experience. I had to come back home to Canada, redo all my application, look for a new hagwon, and go back. But you don't know. That's why I say it's hit or miss, because my very first hagwon, amazing. I liked working there, no problem. Having lunchtime with the kids was kind of an issue, but I was able to work around it. But the second one, not good. Bad manager, bad work practices, cutting corners, shady, borderline illegal activities. It was just really bad. And yeah, those are the cons of hagwons. And if you don't know what a midnight run is, it's basically when a teacher has had enough, a foreign teacher has had enough, and they don't alert the school that they're leaving, and they pretty much leave the school and or Korea altogether. They just leave the country without anyone knowing. And that's a good segue in how to, I guess, conduct yourself as a teacher in South Korea, because midnight runs are, I think, for the bad hagwons, you know what, they are needed. But if it's a question of just not adjusting to Korean work culture, or just not respecting how things work in the hagwon, or you just not being a good teacher, then that's a whole different story. Because it is true, some foreigners come to Korea and they have the teaching visa, they have the E2 visa, but they kind of treat Korea as their playground, and they don't really respect the job. Or I'm not saying you have to have a huge passion for teaching or anything, but at least respect the job that you have, at least show up, at least do your best with what is given to you. So in that sense, yeah, sometimes it's just the teacher's unwillingness to try. But in a lot of the cases, some of these managers are horrible. They put their foreign teachers through hell, and that's not good either. So how do you conduct yourself as a teacher who looks like me, aka black? Because let's be real, white teachers in Korea are not treated the same as black teachers in Korea. So here are some tips and tricks into how to carry yourself. So When you're in the classroom, especially if you are working in the countryside or rural Korea, just expect that there might be a little bit of ignorance. I don't want to say complete racism because some of these students are kids, like some of them are kindergartners. So with my second hagwon job, I was teaching in different schools here and there, and for a few weeks I had to go to the countryside, and the kids there, bless them, the kids there just didn't know what to do when they saw me. I must have been their first black person they've ever seen in their life. So some of the reactions were crazy. It sounds crazy, but I understand that they are kids. They probably have only seen Korean people their whole, very short life. And let me teach you some phrases. The first one is 무서워. 무서워 in Korean means scary. So I walked in that classroom. I get it. I'm tall. I'm different. I have different color skin. I have different features. That may alarm some kids. So you may come across kids that suddenly start crying or running to their Korean teacher, things like that. And in those instances, just poker face, just stay calm, go on with your class, because most likely it's like one or two kids that are crying. It's not like the whole class is like, that would be a freaking mess. If that happened, I'd be like, you know what?
Fuck them kids!
Trust and believe, 2 to 3 more classes, then all of a sudden it's eslteacher. 예뻐요, eslteacher. 사랑해요. It's all love and butterflies and rainbows, because again, they are just kids. And again, it doesn't have to be a race specific thing, but I don't know if white teachers are getting that, but I digress. I guess the most annoying part of that experience was the Korean teacher that didn't immediately try to educate or try to tell the kids hey, it's fine, she's a foreigner or whatever. Because okay, some kids were like, oh, she's just an American, guys, what, she's American, that's why she looks like that, period. You know what, you get a gold star, because exactly, I'm just an American. But when you'd get those oh, scary, oh, why is her skin like that, oh, teacher, where, when you get those comments and the Korean teacher's in the classroom and doesn't say anything, that's when I'm like, hello? Because I understand Korean. Maybe they don't realize that because again, I'm poker face, but most of the time I understand what they're saying, and I'm just looking at the teacher hello? You ain't gonna tell these kids, these bratty ass kids, I am this color because I'm not Korean. Keep it professional, and when they warm up to you, then you can start talking about, where you're from, why is your skin color this way? There are so many countries and so many different colors and blah blah. And usually they're more curious. They're not no, they're not rude, they're not racist or not accepting, they're just curious. These are kindergarteners. I'm not sure about middle schoolers or elementary, but I'm pretty sure if they're middle or high school students, they've been through their fair share of foreign teachers, black, white or other. So I think it's mostly kindergarteners that have this complex. There is a certain level of adjustment that has to be done working in South Korea for sure, and most of the time it's easier if you have a Korean co-worker or friend to walk you through these things, because honestly sometimes you just don't know. There's this concept in Korean culture called Nuni, which is kind of like reading the room in a sense. And in regards to Korean work culture, my Nuni wasn't that great. It's improving now because I've been there for an extended period of time, but initially it wasn't that good. So there are things that, even if you are socially aware and you're open-minded and stuff, there are certain things you need to adjust to. But things that we will not tolerate is any sort of racism, discrimination. No, you still need to stand up for yourself in that regard. And if you're not happy, you quit the job, or you go back home, or you find another school. Those we will not tolerate. But there are certain things, unfortunately, you will have to adjust to. My first hagwon, with my second hagwon, I failed at Nuni by not staying later and doing more work. I came in at 10, like I usually started at 10 and ended at 6. So I started at 10 and I left right at 6, and I was like, I'm gonna go have dinner with my friends and everything's all good and blah blah blah. But because my co-worker had stayed and my boss was still there, that is considered to be like bad Nunchi. Like, I didn't read the room. Like, if my boss is still there, I should have just stayed and worked. Even if it was an extra 10 minutes, even if it was an extra 15 minutes, I should have stayed and completed my work, then gone. But I just went. So that, in a sense, is like bad Nunchi, because then it's like, then my boss is thinking like, oh, Esther doesn't do any work. Or like she leaves like right on the clock, but did she do anything? Which again, to me, was like, what? But it's little things like that you have to adjust to, for sure. This video is getting so long, but yes, though, that is the general experience of working as a teacher in South Korea. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And if you have any questions about the process, documents, things like that, please DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to answer those questions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.